Thank you for joining me today. We're going to be talking about the real estate note investing. We're going to talk about just the basics of what real estate note investing is and some of the pros and cons of using this particular strategy to either start your real estate career or start your real estate investing or to add it to your current real estate investing strategies. So with that being said, let's start the presentation. So my name is Gilbert Ross. My company is Abundant Capital Group. And as you can see, these are my social media links and my website. We're also on Facebook at Abundant Capital Group as well. So you can find us at any one of these places in regards to real estate note investing and your real estate investing goals. A little bit about me. I've been in real estate for just about 20 years now, primarily for a good 15, 16 years. I was primarily an agent working with buyers and sellers in a traditional sense. So, I have listed properties, I have worked with buyers, done rentals and things of that over my 20-year career. Currently, I am a referral agent in the state of New Jersey. Uh, I've done also, I've worked with different banks and things of that nature, done REOs, done short sales for different banks. You know the names of these particular banks, most of them Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Chase, and some other smaller lenders as well. So I have that experience as well in my 20 years. Also, I worked as with a real estate development company that did a large project in Newark, New Jersey on Grafton Avenue. I was a construction site supervisor for about 3 years. So I do have some knowledge about building and development as well. That particular side of the business, haven't had as much experience, but I've had some experience in it. And then also I was in the insurance business. I was licensed property and casualty insurance agent for State Farm, worked in the office down in North on Broad Street, and I did that for roughly 3 years as well. So I do know about insurance as well. So that's just a little bit about me. Going through my career all the way up until about 2008, had some success, but like many people in 2008, things went really bad for me personally, and had to sell any type of property that I had, and really went through a difficult time on the downturn. So I learned a lot during that particular time, and just since that point, been trying to rebuild my business, and trying to keep investing in real estate and using real estate investing as a tool towards wealth. So investing in real estate notes. We're going to talk about what is a note, what is a mortgage, why you would want to consider investing in notes, the different types of notes that you can invest in, and where we find inventory. So we're going to cover that. Like I said, this is kind of the basics to give everyone a certain foundation in this particular field. And then obviously, if we want to continue these conversations and you would like to invest, we can talk about that at another time. So a real estate note is a promissory note that provides the financial details of the loan's repayment, such as the interest rate and method of payment. So that's what a note is going to consist of. It's going to tell you how a person is supposed to repay, how much they're supposed to repay, and at what interest rate and within what time period. So that's pretty basic and pretty standard information. If you have purchased a home, obviously you have signed a note and a mortgage, and that's what we're going to talk about next. The mortgage is a debt instrument secured by the collateral of the specified real estate property that the borrower is obligated to pay back with a predetermined set of payments. So actually, the mortgage is what the borrower gives the lender as collateral if they do not repay the loan. So mortgages in different states Obviously, we're in New Jersey right now where I'm giving this presentation. It's called a mortgage. In other states, it may be called a deed of trust, trust deed, all-inclusive deed, uh, warranty deed. There's different names in different parts of the country that pretty much go towards or similar to the word mortgage. This is what a note will look like. When you're signing all those papers, when you are buying a property, this is what a note looks like. And again, the security instrument, which is the mortgage, again, that is saying that if anything goes wrong, your security agreement is telling the lender what they'll get if you cannot repay or if a borrower does not repay. So the property is the collateral for the note. And there's not a lot of investments that you make where you actually get a tangible asset if someone does not pay. So that's one of the biggest reasons why we really like notes is because if something does go wrong, we do have the property itself to be able to recoup money from the investment. So why invest in notes? One of the biggest reasons is because of low risk, high yield. And we say low risk, high yield because we're able to always buy notes at a discount. No matter what type of note you are buying, you are going to buy it at a certain discount. How much of a discount just depends on what can be negotiated, um, in a transaction. But will always be protected when buying a note. We usually, because of the discount, we know that if something goes wrong with the note that we purchased, something goes wrong with that borrower, we have the property and we know that we've purchased it at a certain percentage that if we wanted to sell the property, we know that we can make back all of our money. So, and then also we get high yield on the return on investment because we're buying at a discount, and then what someone is paying us every month. When you look at that over the course of the year, you take those payments times them by 12, and you look at your initial investment, you'll see that you're getting yields of 6, 7, 8, or more uh, in some aspects more double-digit returns, just depending on the deal and everything like that. Again, we talked about it secured by the real estate. That is a big factor. So we know that if something does go wrong, we have this property that we can take to the market and sell it and make our money back. Plus, most of the times we're able to make more, a little bit more for what we paid for it. But let's just say if you don't want to do that, we're going to talk about other exit strategies once you do get the real estate back. If something goes wrong, you have multiple exit strategies to protect your investment. How many investments, or when you invest money, have multiple ways of you getting paid back what you put into that investment? There's not a whole lot that come to mind, but this is definitely one of those. Again, like as I mentioned, we always purchase at a discount. Um, we're buying at a certain percentage of what the market value is. Uh, we try to stay somewhere around 70% of less of market value. Now, remember, that's just the market value. We're going to be looking at what's called unpaid balance. And sometimes you may pay close to what the unpaid balance is, but because the property is worth more, you're okay with paying a higher percentage of what is left on the loan because you know that the property is worth considerably more than what you invested in it. So we always purchase at a discount, and anybody in this particular field understands that. They know that you buy at a discount. Now, when you talk to some sellers, depending on who they are, how sophisticated they are, they may not understand that, but you always purchase a note at a discount. Again, we talked about multiple exit strategies, and we're gonna get into those. You can do a short sale on property as a note holder. You can go to the borrower and ask them to sign a deed in lieu. Say, I know you're having some problems paying this particular loan back. Why don't you just deed the property back over to us? We'll let you walk away. We'll forgive the debt. And then everybody goes on about their business. And then this way you can get the property back. Hopefully they'll leave it in a certain condition because you are allowing them out of the loan, so to speak, and able to go on with their life and not damage their credit anymore. And then you take the property back and you can possibly re-rent. You can rent the property out again, or you could create a new note at that time. Or once they're out of the property, you could go ahead and sell the property. So there's a lot of different things that you can do, when you become or when you invest in notes. You're essentially the bank. And then as we know, the banks can, they can work out anything they want with their customer or the person that, they made a loan to. So, uh, we don't just have, uh, one way of getting out of a property. Sometimes in other real estate, I mean, if you're a fix and flipper, you fix it up and you just try to sell it and make a profit. A lot of times, you don't use other exit strategies. Maybe some more sophisticated flippers do, but usually that's the one thing that they're trying to do is just fix it up and sell it. If you're a buy and hold real estate investor, you're buying a property and just going to be collecting rent. And then if somebody stops paying rent, you don't have multiple strategies. What you can do is, obviously try to evict the person and put a new tenant in, but that's pretty much, what you can do. But within notes, you have, a lot of different ways to recoup your initial investment, and these are another reason why we like note investing. You have passive income with no landlord responsibilities. So uh, all you're doing is just collecting a check every month. If something goes wrong with the property, um, if you're a homeowner, you don't call your bank and say, I have a hole in my roof, or I have a leaky faucet, or something's up with my boiler. You don't do that. You don't call the bank and ask them for help in that. So, but if you are a landlord, you still have maintenance responsibilities on a property. In this particular way with notes, you're able to get the same passive income and sometimes more because you don't have the same expenses as you do as a landlord. You can get more cash flow or more income off of a property when you are investing in notes. And a lot of times we try to suggest that people who do have income property, that they, run the numbers if they were to create a note on the property and sell the property and take back a note and a mortgage and see what those cash flow numbers are and see what the difference is. Again, with no landlording responsibilities, no maintenance responsibilities, or anything like that. So that is another reason why we suggest that people invest in those. Also, can be purchased in all states. Now, most people who have a property or own property normally own property where they live. You do have some more sophisticated investors that will own rental property in other states, but for the most part, people buy where they live so they can get to the property if something goes wrong, maintenance issues, and things of that nature. But again, because we don't have those same responsibilities as a landlord, we're able to purchase throughout the country. You can buy something in California, in the Midwest, in the South, Northeast, wherever in the US that somebody owns a home, you have the ability to purchase a note in that particular area. So this does open up a bigger pool of, of investments to look into and to see if it works for you. You can also invest in notes with your retirement account. Uh, that is a big plus too, because again, we're usually buying these notes that have several years of payments remaining. So if you're planning to retire in 5 years, in 10 years, in 15 or 20 years, if you buy this within those accounts, you'll be collecting payments a lot of times for a number of years. Now, normally people stay in a property, maybe about 9 years total. Um, that's about the average. But, you do have people that stay in their house 20 years, 25 years, and some, stay in the house 30 years. So you can look at this as a long-term investment opportunity within your IRA or any type of retirement account that you have, because you know that you're going to be retiring down the line. So you can just collect these payments over time. And then again, if someone sells, you're still going to be owed a lump sum of money based on what the unpaid balance of the loan is at the time that the property is sold. So you still get that lump sum as well as collecting payments over time. And this will all go into your IRA. So those are reasons why, just a few reasons why we like note investing and why we try to bring this opportunity to more people so they can, diversify their portfolio if you're already investing, or if you're someone new, obviously you can use a retirement account. And then you'll start to see that a lot of times what you can buy properties for when it comes to the note side of things is usually a lot less than what you would have to put out in terms of doing a fix and flip or buying an investment property. So now we're going to talk about the types of notes. They usually fall into two categories, performing and non-performing. And then I have non-performing slash sub-performing. So non-performing just means that for whatever reason, something happened with the borrower where they stopped paying. They stopped paying for typically more than 90 days. If it's sub-performing, they may make one or two payments and then skip a third payment, make another payment that fourth month, try to make up for the third payment that they missed. Make another two or three payments, then skip a month and then come back. So sub-performing just means that they're not a consistent payer every month. They could be technically paid up in total, but the payment history is a little spotty. It's a little off. It's not consistently coming in on a certain day of each month, or when it's due, they may skip a month or something like that. So that's what we call a sub-performing. And then again, non-performing is just that the person that stopped paying for whatever reason. And we have the ability to buy these notes as well as this next category, which is performing notes or re-performing. Performing note means that someone, is making their payment each and every month. It comes on time. You don't have any problems. Now, how long that could be, that differs in the industry. You could have um, somebody that's made payments for the first 6 months, and that'll be considered a performing note. You could have someone that has made payments for 6 years. That's also considered a performing note. So you, as the investor, have to feel comfortable on what you would like to see in terms of a payment history when it comes to performing notes. Do you want 6 months? Do you want at least a year? Would you like at least 2 years? Some people, um, will take it after 3 months. Somebody has been paying consistently for 3 months. Somebody will look at that and say it's performing and want to buy that. Somebody else may say, I want at least 2 years, or I want 3 years. So it's really up to the individual person. And then reperforming just means that maybe at one time something in their life happened where they weren't paying, or like you said before, they had spotty pay history, but now they've been paying consistently for the last 12 months, the last 18 months. So that would be back on that's what we call a reperforming note. So there's opportunities to buy all, anyone that falls into these categories here. So again, this is a non-performing note here. Um, so you'll see that the property is worth, this property is worth 80,000, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, yeah. So this property actually is worth 80,000. At the point where when it was purchased, the value of this particular property was $80,000. Now, because it falls into the non-performing category, um, we were able to purchase this note for $28,000. Now, that doesn't mean what the unpaid balance was. The unpaid balance on this was probably somewhere about 40 or 45,000, but the property was still worth 80,000. So you have to ask yourself, would I pay $28,000 for something that I know is worth 80,000? And I think that most people would say, that they would. Yeah, see, the property value here was 80,000, and you can acquire this property for the $28,000. And what you can try to do is go back to that homeowner if you want, like we talked about earlier with exit strategies, and see if you can work something out with them. Maybe they had some difficulty in their life and they are able to get past that. Now you can go back to them and say, I'm the new note owner of this property. Can we work something out? What you were paying before. Uh, can we maybe reduce it through a loan modification on the property for you? So you can go to them and try to work something out with them if it's feasible and if it makes sense. Now, what makes sense is all, again, going to be depending on you as the individual on what you're willing to accept. And then, two, what you do with this is that you would go to a loan officer and have them create the new mortgage and all the terms and documents, um, and get this person kind of what we call requalified, so to speak, and make sure that they can now afford these new payments that you have come up for them. This loan modification. So they'll make sure that see what they're where they're working at now, what they're making, and see how much they can afford. Now on 28,000, you can reduce the payment per month. You probably can reduce it by a couple of $100, maybe even more, and that'll put the person maybe that fits their budget better. So now you can get them back on track in terms of paying. And then also, like I said, if this property is worth $80,000, they have an unpaid balance around 40 or 45, they would really be walking away from $40,000 worth of equity. Would they want to do that? Probably not. Not to say that they wouldn't, but I would think that most people would try to make every effort to work something out to get them repaying, because they know if they were to sell this property that they could make, you know, X amount of dollars. So there is some incentive for them to possibly do a loan modification. But if that didn't work, again, if you weren't able to work anything out with them and you had to do a foreclosure, now you have an asset for $28,000 plus whatever your expenses are to foreclose, but it's worth 80,000. Could you do a short sale? You could do that. You could go to the homeowner and say, look, I know you're having difficulty. How about we do a short sale? Let's see what we can get for the particular property. Um, and you're also due any unpaid balance and arrearage account and penalties. That's also accruing when you buy a non-performing loan. So all those costs and fees and things like that accumulate, and you're still really owed all of that on a $28,000 investment. Again, you could go to them and say, well, let's do a deed in lieu. You're having a difficult time. Maybe you just want to put a period, behind this and just move on. You can go to them and say, give them a deed in lieu. Maybe help them with moving expenses. Maybe that is cheaper than going through a full foreclosure. Maybe you can give them their first month security to move somewhere else. Maybe they'll say, great, I'll take that and sign this over to you. And this way you don't have to go through all of the foreclosure process. Uh, or you like we talked about, maybe you do have to go to foreclosure, but you do have a lot more options at your disposal to try to get something worked out on this particular property. So again, you could do, like you talked about, do a short sale. If a property is worth $80,000, could you get someone to offer 50,000 for a property that they know is worth 80,000? Now, obviously, that's going to depend on the condition of the property and everything like that. We're assuming that these people didn't, just trash the place. They left it in some decent shape. Now you've made 50,000 on your initial $28,000 investment plus any foreclosure expenses. So again, that's why buying at a discount is so important and works so well in this particular business, is because when you do have issues with properties and then you try to sell them, you're able to recoup all of your initial investment plus, in this case, $22,000 minus, again, any foreclosure expenses or any other expenses that you had to do on this particular property. Um, that's not a bad deal. And these deals, I mean, because we are in New Jersey, you say, where's a house for $80,000? There's a lot of houses in a lot of different areas that are under $100,000. That's why investing not just in your backyard, when it comes to notes, is such a plus, because you can find things for your particular budget, whatever your budget is. There's properties that are worth under $50,000 in certain parts of the country. So these types of deals are out there by the thousands. And there you go. That would be your money. That $22,000 be going right to you. So now we're going to talk more about the performing side. So again, you bought this property. Again, it's worth $80,000, and you can purchase this because it's performing. You don't get as much as a discount that you saw before on the non-performing side. But let's just say you can purchase this note for about almost $43,000. This is the monthly payment is $433.32 a month, and has 18 years remaining on it. Now, if you had a calculator and you take $433.32 times 18, you take 12 times 18, and now how many months that is, you'll see that you would have probably tripled your money on your $42,000 investment. That's why a lot of times buying these in a retirement account is a great option. Because let's say you're not planning on retiring for another 20 years, 15 years. This is just going to be sitting in your IRA or your retirement account, collecting that $433.32 for the next 18 years, or until when the property is sold. So, that is, what this is why these opportunities are out there by the thousands in these particular price range. And that was about a 10% annualized cap rate, or what we call return on investment per year, based on your initial investment. So who wouldn't want, 10% return on their money? Are you going to get that within your retirement account? If you looked at it, probably not. If you look at maybe where you have your money right now, is your money getting you somewhere between 7, 8, upwards of 10% return on investment? If not, this is an opportunity that you would want to definitely look into. So we're going to talk about the inventory. So, banks originate a lot of loans. The big companies, the Wells Fargo's, the Bank of America's, and everything. Those big time banks, they originate a lot of loans, and then what they do is that they package a lot of their loans and then they sell them off to the secondary market. And when they do, and big investment companies, typically REO companies, are able to buy big and large pools of these bank originated notes. And the reason why they're able to do that is because they have, the type of money that it takes to buy these loans. They buy thousands of loans at a time for, several $1 million. And what they do, that these investment companies do, is that they kind of go through what they bought and they keep a lot of the good stuff for themselves and for their portfolios. But then there's a certain portion of some of those lower price band assets that we talked about, like you said, the $80,000 house value. A lot of times it's not worth them to keep that in their portfolio, because they have some houses that are 3, 4, 5 hundred thousand. They have $1 million loans that they can keep on their books that is bringing in a lot more money. So some of the smaller stuff they just try to basically get rid of, and then that's how it'll get down to you and me, so to speak. And then also you have consumer originated. Somebody inherited a house, somebody has a house, and a lot of times they have created a note on a property, um, for whatever reason, so they could get the monthly payments coming in. This is what we try to call a lot of times is the mom and pop sellers. Um, for whatever reason, they've created a note on a property and have been collecting payments, and then they, at any particular time, have the ability to sell that note if they'd like. And you can reach out to these particular people, and we do. And we try to work out something where we can buy it, and that's how we can get some more inventory as well. But primarily you're going to do it through these investment type companies, or you're going to reach out to a mom and pop person and see if they're willing to sell. And that's what we do. Obviously we're not going to be able to go to the big banks because they want millions and millions of dollars, and they've already established a lot of relationships. So that's probably not in the cards for us. So again, this is that what I just talked about is that the banks in the secondary market, they sell off to the note investment companies. They have the reperforming loans, and they have non-performing loans, and they have performing loans. And they sell those to those note investment companies, and then it comes down to you and I. The REO investment companies, a lot of times what they do is that they'll buy an REO from a bank or wherever they buy it from, and they'll set up seller financing for buyers. And then once the buyers make a certain amount of payments, those companies look to sell as well. And so they have the performing notes, reperforming loans, and non-performing loans as well. Most of the stuff that comes from the REO is going to be more of the reperforming and performing, but that's not to say that they don't have some of the non-performing loans as well. And then establishing relationships with those companies, we're able to buy from those companies as well. And then how I mentioned the seller financed property, that's the mom and pop. Um, we send them a letter, we contact them, we reach out to them and say, we know that you created this particular note, and would you be interested in selling? And, you know, maybe they have somebody getting ready to go to college, they want to take the vacation of their dreams. Maybe they have multiple uh, notes and they're willing to let one or two of them go for whatever reason. Um, sellers who created these notes will sell, and we reach out to them, and we're able to come to some type of agreement with them and buy their note directly from the mom and pop seller. And again, they have the same thing. They may be selling it because it's non-performing now and they just don't want to deal with the headache and everything like that. Or it could be a performing loan that they just want to get cashed out of so they can go and do something else with that money. And a lot of times you don't see a lot of reperforming with mom and pop, just because they're not typically sophisticated like investors that do this for a living. They just usually have maybe one or two. But sometimes when you come across someone who is a little bit more sophisticated, they may uh, loan may have gone bad, and then they got it back on track, and then now they want to sell it because they just don't want to, maybe go through what they went through before with it. And then A good thing about this particular business and what we're doing here and the opportunity is that a lot of stuff can be outsourced. So it gives investors the opportunity to buy and sell notes anywhere in the U.S. We use servicing companies to do a lot of the paperwork and documentation and collecting payments. So it's not like you individually have to service this particular loan. Um, they'll make sure that the payment is collected and just make sure that the money goes right into your account. So that takes you out of that. And usually a cost for a servicing company is less than $50 a month. Um, so for that little bit of a cost, it's well worth, having a servicing company, just making sure that everything, all the paperwork, documentation, everything goes right, that the, uh, the taxes are paid. They're making sure of all that stuff. And if it's not, they will follow up either with yourself or the homeowner and, make sure that they get that taken care of. You have workout companies, like we talked about before, that can do loan modifications. Um, that's a third party that if you bought a non-performing note, or if you have a note that went bad, maybe you can, when you do the loan modification, you can reach out to these companies and they can help you with the workout. Again, that fee is minimal compared to what they're doing. It all depends on what company you're using. The attorneys, obviously, when you do these deals, you want to, most likely use an attorney until you become more sophisticated. We can get attorneys, obviously, in any state. BPO companies, that's a broker price opinion. Uh, you can outsource that as well. Someone, if you're not living in the state, can go by, take a look at the property from the outside, and because they're more familiar with that particular area, they can give you a more accurate idea of what the property is worth. Obviously, we can do some research online, but let's just say if you're trying to come up with the value of the property, that's what you would get the broker's price opinion for. You're trying to make sure that the value is there. You see online, one source may tell you it's worth $100,000. Another source may say it's worth 70,000, and then you may have another source that says it's worth 50,000. So because there's a wide difference there, you want to, have someone that's more familiar with the area tell you what a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house in this particular state, in this particular condition, and where it is, the town, and everything like that, what it is worth. So you can feel more confident um, that what you're paying for that asset is again at the right discount that you're looking for. So again, those fees are minimal, usually less than a couple of $100 to get a BPO. And sometimes it can be under $100 in some cases. Title companies, we outsource to title companies to make sure that there are no liens or anything that can go ahead of your position as the note holder. A lot of times, all the time right now, what we want to do is make sure that we're buying a first position. You can have second position, third position, you can have fourth, fifth position, but we try to make sure that we're in first position and we make sure that there's nothing that will threaten that position that is on the title. We want to make sure that if there is something there that, maybe you want to take care of it prior to purchasing the note, uh, just depending on, what it is and how much it's going to cost you. And if there is a threat that comes up on the title, then you say, you know what, I may not want to buy this because, this could damage my position. I could lose my money here. So we have title companies that can do that. Insurance companies, um, and there are insurance companies out there that we can do investor type policies to make sure that our interest is protected. And again, when you get these types of policies, they are very inexpensive because it's an investor type policy. You're just making sure that if something happens, the house burns down. You're not really concerned about the stuff on the inside, but the house itself, you want to make sure that if it does have a fire or get damaged in some way, that you will have the ability to recoup your investment. And I just have attorneys on there twice, so please excuse that. So that's really kind of the end of the presentation. I hope that I was able to give you a, basic, information about the note industry and why, you would want to consider this opportunity that is out there. And then also the way things are shaping up with this economy right now and moving forward. Uh, there's about, I mean, I don't even know how many people, but several million people who are having problems, paying their rent or paying their mortgage. And these opportunities most likely are going to come through in 2021. More opportunities to buy notes, to be able to do workouts, to help people out, to restructure things, do loan modifications and things of that nature. There's going to be a lot of those opportunities coming up. Also, with this new administration, they're going to be doing things to encourage people to buy homes. And right now, we have a a crunch on credit, um, especially in the lower priced assets. Not a lot of banks want to write loans under $100,000 or in that lower price band. So they're going to need investors to create notes, to create seller financing notes for those particular properties. So, um, and they're going to be, this administration is going to be encouraging people most likely to buy homes. So, there's a lot of different factors that are coming together that make the note industry, whether you're buying a note or you're buying a non-performing note and, want to get it back performing, or if you want to take the property back and then, sell it on the open market, um, creating notes that way, there's gonna be a need for all of these things in this upcoming year or so, probably within the next, 1 to 2 years, if not longer, just due to what's going on right now. So, I hope that this piques your interest. You want to know more about it. You want to see how you can get involved, and that's where we would come in. We find a lot of deals for investors that have some capital that may be sitting in some type of account that's getting a low interest rate. Maybe you've made some gains in the stock market and you want to take some of those gains in the stock market to diversify. We would suggest that you look into investing in notes. Um, if you're thinking about investing in real estate in some form or fashion. And what we do is that we find these deals for you, and then we usually can work out where we just try to make you get the type of return that you're looking for, and then we can get paid within the transaction itself. Each transaction is obviously different, but our cost and anything like that, it will be fixed into the deal. So if you are interested, let's talk a little bit further. I hope you have some questions. And after this presentation, we are going to be taking questions. But I just want to thank you for your time. And like I said, hopefully, this information at least piqued your interest and you have some questions that will make you, you know, once you get those answered, you'll want to take the next step and get involved in note investing. So with that being said, we're going to take questions now. Everybody have a great day.